A competency evaluation says the accused killer of Iryna Zarutska is incapable to proceed in his murder case. Lawyers for DeCarlos Brown are asking a Mecklenburg County judge to put the state case on hold for 6 months.
DeCarlos Brown is accused in Zarutska's deadly stabbing last August on a Blue Line train in South End. Brown's attorneys want a judge to delay an April 30th hearing because of that competency report.
All right, joining us now, our chief analyst, Khalif Rhodes. All right, so Khalif, break this down because there's several factors at play, right? You have the federal case, you have the state case, and then you had this ruling that we found out about from the court documents that happened in December that said that he's not really competent to stand trial. So how does this all work out?
Well, a couple of things, and we got to step back. And so, I want to make sure folks understand the process. A person can be determined to have a mental condition, but that still doesn't mean they're not capable to go forward with trial. And so it can be raised, your competency can be raised by the defense attorney, it can be raised by prosecution, or it can be raised by sua sponte. That means the court can do it on its own without any party asking the court to do an evaluation. And so at a hearing in December, the court said, go get an evaluation.
Right.
The court didn't determine that he was incompetent because they haven't had a competency hearing yet.
The hospital determined that.
Right. And so I've had a number, in homicide cases, you'd be committing malpractice if you didn't do these steps. I get hired by a person or appointed by the state. I go meet with them. I'll go get something called a mitigation specialist. That will look at their history. That will look at their either mental history, any type of emotional abuse, anything like that. I'll get some type of fact investigator. And then if I suspect that there is any type of mental health concerns, I will contact a forensic evaluation of my own. If that evaluation comes back and it's like, okay, we recognize that there may be a competency issue, then I will raise it with the court, and then the court can say, all right, we'll send them to Central Regional and have another evaluation. That's what's happened so far. The court hasn't made a determination one way or the other because a judge needs to make a ruling on if competency is there or not.
And so we are still waiting on that. But we talk about until the court can deem that his capacity has been restored. What does that effort look like? And are there cases where sometimes that is never restored?
I totally agree. And so there's a couple parts. First, remember, they're asking, and this was kind of packed into a motion to continue. Were they asking to continue their Rule 24 hearing, which in North Carolina is required if the state is going to seek the death penalty in this case. They'd have to say in open court, yes, we're seeking the death penalty, or no, we're not seeking the death penalty. So they're asking that that portion be continued for a number of reasons. He has his federal case that's making his case complicated. Oh, also we're wanting to have him evaluated, and he's already been evaluated, and that process is going to slow down this. So give us time to deal with that. But you're saying being rehabilitated, first the court has to make the determination. If the court says, okay, I will adopt the report from forensic evaluation and from Central Regional, and he's deemed to be not capable to go forward, yes, he can be rehabilitated. He can go to that location. It could be 6 months, it could be 6 years, it could be as long as it takes for the hospital to say, okay, now after we've done another evaluation, now he's ready to go. And then the court would have to come back and have another competency hearing, and then his case would be put back on there. So there's just a number of things before we get to the point of being able to say you can be competent or not, but you can definitely be rehabilitated.
So many questions here because one, if the judge determines at the state level, what does that mean for the federal level? Can they be deferring opinions from the courts at state and federal? And then also, Khalif, yes, he can be rehabilitated, but if the hospital deems that at the time of the crime, right, because we heard from Sharice Johnson, that's something that he's been dealing with for a while. Can you be held responsible for actions that you do when you weren't mentally capable of understanding what you were doing, even if you're rehabilitated?
You're all over it. I love that as well. And so there's a couple things. And so in terms of the rehabilitation portion, the court can make that determination. And the feds, they can have their entire different process. Wow. And so, yes, this state process could be here. But, yes, his attorneys, and I'm not sure if they're the same, but the attorney on the federal level would say, hey, Your Honor, we just had a competency evaluation. We had a hearing. He was determined that. But they will have their entire different process. In terms of the steps and what it would look like in getting rehabilitated, it's competency at two different stages. Competency at the time of the crime where you're aware of what you were doing, and competency now. Are you able to understand the proceedings? Are you able to assist your attorney? Are you competent to understand the instructions that the judge is giving? Those are two different types of competency. So yes, you still can go to trial if you were deemed to be not competent at the time of the incident,
right?
Now competent now to understand, and vice versa. So yes, you can do both, or both can prevent you. It really just depends on your lawyer's arguing and what the court accepts.
And something Julian and I were talking about real quickly here is DeCarlos Brown is in Chicago right now for these federal charges. Why not here in Charlotte?
It depends. I mean, most of the time, I have a number of clients that have federal charges. They're not going to stay here in Mecklenburg County. If you have outstanding federal charges, I have folks that are in Kentucky right now. I have folks that are in other places like Chicago. It really just depends on where the Federal Department of Prisons wants to keep you. And so it's
where they got room.
Where they have room.
Yes, they're going to
Probably.
take precedent, and then if you need them back in Charlotte for your case, the DA's office here will writ them back. They'll write and ask the court, hey, we need permission to bring him back to our state.
A lot of layers to break down. Khalif, thank you.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.